Class began at 8:20 p.m. on January 9th, 2017 at Oglethorpe University. My expectations of the class were to gain a greater understanding of the global issues happening currently and use that knowledge to help me as an independent filmmaker, hopefully one day on assignment for National Geographic.
Welcome everyone.
Immediately, I was surprised by the different class model and the hands-on approach to learning, which coincidentally is how I learned the best. I was enthralled.
I'm excited to introduce to you an experimental model that we've been working on for quite some time in terms of how we'd like to see students more engaged in the classroom. And so that means that, surprise, there are no tests in the class. No
it
syllabus.
Seemed the rest of the class was as well.
The objectives, and you're going to decide what to do. We're going to be covering, as you know from the title of the class, global issues, contemporary global issues, an interdisciplinary class in which you are going to be doing all of the work, but you're going to produce a product, let's call it, something that you can actually tangibly use and work with the public. We're not going to just sit around and discuss theory, although I think that's important sometimes. So I put up here on the board, and you're going to make that decision. We can't possibly cover all these topics, as you know, in an 8-week period. So what I'd like you to do is get together as groups or 2 groups and decide which of these you would like to try to take on and find workable, meaningful, not pie-in-the-sky solutions to these truly difficult, complex global problems. I want to introduce my partner in good crime, which is Eli Arnold. He is the archivist here and a professor, assistant professor here at Oglethorpe, and he's going to talk a little bit about his role in helping you guys with your projects. So, Eli.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited that Dr. Collins brought the library into this. As an Oglethorpe alum, I had Dr. Collins for about 11 times in different classes here at Oglethorpe. All of his classes are innovative, but this is especially innovative. So my role and the role of the library in this class is going to be every Wednesday you all are going to meet here in the library in the reference comments. And if you meet online, happen to meet online that Wednesday, I'll log into your, to your chat. So I'm embedding in this class for the full semester. So if you all have any research questions, any source evaluation questions, any copyright questions, even logistic things as well. If you all ever need something printed in color, or you need some things, printed on fancy paper, I can do that as well. So.
Okay, well, I'm very
After the first couple of weeks, we as a collective deduced that the 2 most important contemporary global issues are the overall health of the planet and the equal rights for all of those living on it. By observing this fact, it became apparent that all other major issues facing our species fall under one of these 2 umbrella terms. We split into 2 groups, one focusing on climate change, the other focusing on human rights. Both groups established fairly quickly that we would produce some sort of awareness package or pamphlet to provide to incoming freshmen, as well as sharing the information with people throughout Atlanta and beyond.
How do you guys feel about this class so far? Are you enjoying, you thinking everyone's doing good?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a great experiment, and it is just far better than what I ever expected was going to happen. It's just extraordinary. Great students.
And I thought, wow, why don't we just do have a place at Oglethorpe that we can designate for electronic waste?
Yeah, that's true. Because when you think about everything that gets dumped in the mirror, a lot of people don't recycle those types of things. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I really like that. Okay, well, my idea is I saw on this website it was they sell T-shirts and fabrics or a lot of things that don't get recycled often, and so we could recycle fabric and then turn it into a T-shirt and sell it. And then I was also thinking we could do a book, kind of a how-to book on how to live green and stuff, because everybody wants to be green now, and they should be, because we're kind of hurting the earth,
I honestly really like your book idea. To build off of that, I think we could have kind of a book or a little pamphlet or brochure, ebook of some sort, so we give to freshmen, and that would be impactful. We'd be think globally, act locally, something like that. Or it's a pretty big idea, but we'd be impacting Atlanta.
Like, how do you think we should go about that though? Like, what should we include in the book?
Definitely like facts and tips for sure, and then
If we're doing like local, then probably like businesses around like here,
Yeah.
like at least like within like a 5 mile
yeah, and then like
radius.
places you can
Like
volunteer.
a Yelp, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then it could be like 5 chapters or like 4 or 5 chapters, I guess. Eco-friendly businesses, like eco-friendly restaurants, places that, you know, like your local gym or somewhere like your local laundromat, dry cleaning place that's eco-friendly. And then that's, I guess that could be like one side of it. Listed, obviously, places students can go to.
Yeah.
And
The
then
environmental group sought out businesses that advertise or identify as green in some way, with the purpose of adding them to their ebook titled Go You, which is a traveler's guide of sorts to support these local businesses taking a stand against climate change, as well as learning more information on how to personally reduce one's carbon footprint and make a difference in one's own backyard.
And it's like super tangible. Like, we can definitely do that in the time that we're allotted. Like, that seems pretty realistic for an 8-week
Yeah.
assignment.
and freshmen coming to college for the first time, like they're on their own, they're independent. It would be good to like put decent habits and, you know, knowledge about the environment early on. So I think it would be pretty impactful to give it to them or email it to them or whatever we decide. So I think we should roll with that.
Okay. I'm excited.
Good job, everybody.
So I've been thinking about what we're trying to do. Like how do we do something that's tangible that addresses the human rights issue in a global way? And the Universal Declaration of Human Rights speaks to me and has for a long time. And I was sitting on the couch with my husband, and I began to annoy him about Gideon's Bible and how Gideon's Bible is in every hotel, motel drawer, like the top drawer. And I thought, there's so many people in this world who aren't Christian who may never open that. But what if it was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Not that I want to remove the Bible, but add the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I just had that moment where, like, how did that happen? How could we make that happen? So that's my like light bulb moment. Now we have to make it happen somehow, or at least try to.
I don't really. Well, the resources that got those Bibles to the hotels are huge. So we don't have those resources at our disposal. But I have a friend that works in that area of law enforcement and might be able to tell us what the high-risk areas are in Atlanta. And at the very least, if we have to go to each individual hotel, motel, and
That
offer to give
that
to
could
them
work.
for free, we
That
can do
could
that
work.
too.
So who I'd like to reach out to, I wrote an autobiography on her. Her name's Teresa Flores. She was the not so stereotypical case of human trafficking, but she was upper middle class and she was trafficked at night. So as a result, she had what is called SOAP, which is Save Our Adolescents from Prostitution. And so what they do is they have they give bars of soap to hotels and motels or risk areas at risk. And so it has a national human trafficking hotline. So I was going to reach out to them to see if they're doing anything in Atlanta and specifically which hotels and would it be possible for us to get bars of soap and put them in at-risk areas, specifically like truck stops, gas stations, on the highway?
Truck stops.
Because like the highway is one of the biggest issues as to why human trafficking is prevalent in Atlanta specifically because people know drug smugglers know interstates like no other.
The Human Rights Group put up flyers around campus and Atlanta in an attempt to expose the massive human trafficking problem engulfing our city and so many others, as well as hopefully actually helping people in trouble. Mass emails were sent to members of the United States Senate asking that the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights be added to all U.S.-issued passports to show that we as a nation believe and abide by the standards of equality described in the UDHR for all people of
Yeah, It's it's hard hard to find like a place to put it. I stuck one on the back of one of the seats that I was sitting at.
Yes.
But it's gonna get thrown up people's feet and
Maybe
stuff.
close
So
to phones. Yeah, if there is any phone local.
yeah, they don't have any phones with bathrooms for sure.
We'll have to do some of that that positive disruption that Dr. Collins was
Yeah.
talking about. Maybe post it even.
Even in so like some of the stations have those little clear glass things that smell like piss.
Yes.
So even if we put some of them up in there, because people sleep in there.
Yeah.
So even if we put some of them up.
What we've seen is that they are self-directing, self-organizing, and self-correcting. So they really are capable of managing their their own objectives and dealing with their concepts within their groups. So I'm sure that's what you've seen as well, Yvonne. So.
All right, guys. Thank you for that feedback.
With the guidance of Dr. Collins and Professor Arnold, we began gathering the research regarding these issues as well as the necessary information that would help us formulate our abstract ideas into fully operating vessels of awareness. Of the 2 nights a week we met, one would be spent online, discussing what we had learned and found out individually, as well as getting up to date on what the other groups were doing. This online platform also gave us the opportunity to continue individual research while simultaneously connecting via the web. The other night would be spent meeting in person to show tangible progress and hash out new plans and goals for the weeks ahead, as well as tackle issues or deadlines that are best handled in person. From that point forward, our time was spent divvied into our groups and working in the field, so to speak, as well as on our own. Our last few classes were spent in discussion of our participation in Oglethorpe's Liberal Arts and Sciences Symposium to be held on April 26th of this year. We also had the opportunity to have a meeting as a class with Dr. Shane Pruitt, Director of Student Engagement and Leadership, to discuss the best means of acquiring the funds to print several copies of the UDHR and Go You to hand out at the symposium alongside our presentation in April. In addition to answering all of our funding questions, Dr. Pruitt pointed the environmental group along the path that would lead to the achievement of their long-term goal of implementing e-bins on campus for the proper disposal of electronic waste. We closed with individuals sharing how they plan to have these projects outlive the duration of the 8-week class.